Points are always going down in value, unfortunately. But there are still a lot of ways to get great value from your points.
You dream of traveling the world with your family, creating unforgettable memories, but every time you check flight prices, hotel rates, and vacation costs, that dream feels out of reach. Travel just seems too expensive, too complicated, and too far from reality. But what if you could take those dream vacations, Italy, the Caribbean, even bucket list destinations without the financial stress? Imagine booking luxury flights and top-tier hotels for almost nothing, simply by using the money you already spend every day. Today's guest, Colin Stroud, has cracked the code on turning everyday expenses into free travel using points and miles. A lifelong travel enthusiast, Colin turned a modest income into incredible, nearly free family vacations. And now, through his company, Go Somewhere, he's helping families and business owners do the same. If you're ready to stop wishing and start exploring, this episode is for you. Let's dive in with Colin Stroud. I'm Larry Sprung, your host for the Midland Money Mindset and founder and wealth advisor of Midland Financial. Let's dive into today's show. So today I have Colin Stroud, founder of Go Somewhere. I am so excited, and I know our listeners are going to walk away with so much value from today's conversation. Colin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much. Great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So listen, we're going to talk a lot about what you're doing today with Go Somewhere. But before we do that, our listeners are fascinated with the entrepreneurial journey. Everybody's a little bit different, but similar at the same time. So can you share a little bit about your journey, your entrepreneurial journey to founding Go Somewhere up till that point, and then we'll spend a lot of time on what you're doing today.
For sure. It's been so fun. As like anyone knows who's built something, I joke with people that I think at this point in my life, I'd just happily clean toilets if it was my own, my own thing, just because it's just so fun to have your own thing. It's really more fun when it's something I enjoy doing, which is this travel stuff, helping people understand this. I was in a job I didn't love and just started posting on LinkedIn somewhat haphazardly, randomly, about all kinds of stuff. And then I was already interested in credit card points, so I just started posting about that. And people just got interested. Like I got messages and said, hey, this is cool. I have all these other questions. And so I thought, I wonder if I could charge someone money for a consultation call, because I was already doing these phone calls and helping people and saving them what I thought, like it seemed like it was thousands of dollars. And I could probably charge money for that. Maybe that could be a whole business. And it just started very, very small, and I made a little bit of money, and I was like, oh, that's a nice side hustle. I can take my wife out to dinner kind of thing. And that was in, October 2023. I had my first paying client, and it's just kind of gone, expanded since then. I've kept it very simple, very lean, and I could talk more about what I do soon, but basically just hammered on LinkedIn as my primary channel, share there every day, show up there every day, find clients there, try and deliver value, try and be kind, and eventually this business surpassed my full-time job's income, and I decided to quit that job and go all in. And that was in October 2024, so not that long ago, and a little scary, but really fun, and it's been amazing journey so far.
No background in entrepreneurialism. What did you do as a full-time job prior to delving on this side?
I was in the financial industry. I was at a large insurance brokerage firm helping like life insurance case design. And then I actually, before quitting that, before going full time into this, I decided I was going to do something what I thought to be more fun. So I went actually to work for 2 different nonprofits doing some fundraising, which it felt more meaningful and stuff. But I think really what I was seeking out, and those were great jobs and meaningful, was my own thing. Like I really wanted to feel purposeful in my work, and I got that. I did some entrepreneurial things when I was younger, like I cleaned vans in college and some car detailing, but I wouldn't really count those as real business ventures. It was more like make a little bit of money on the side kind of thing. But I've always been interested in it. And my dad is a lifelong entrepreneur, and so he's kind of been an inspiration for sure, and someone to look to and ask lots of questions from.
So it sounds like it was in your genes from a very early age. It sounds.
I think so. Some people do say it's genetic. I don't know about that, but there's something real there for sure.
I think it's, the whole nurture versus nature thing, right? If you grow up in a household that's used to it and you have parents, relatives that are in that space, you're probably more likely to, go down that path because of the experiences and what you watched and what you learned growing up. So, so where did this, what sparked your joy of travel? Where did that come from exactly?
Yeah, when I was 16 years old, I had the opportunity to attend World Youth Day, which is this extremely large kind of gathering of Catholics all over the world in Krakow, Poland. And there were, at the biggest night event there, they estimated like 3 million people were there. So I'd never been to Europe. I'd never really been many places at all. And I show up in Poland, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. I was without my parents, so it was just me. Well, I was with a bunch of other 16-year-olds. And so you can imagine how just like fun and adventurous that felt. And I thought, this is the coolest thing I have ever done. And so then I just kind of had a travel bug that was ignited. And from there, I kind of just got obsessed with travel, looking at flights online and going places and staring at Google Maps and staying up late on Google Earth, just looking at all these different places to go. And honestly, that hasn't really stopped.
My family and I have done quite a bit of travel, some interesting stuff. And it's so much fun. And it's, being able to see different people in different places. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah, it's been so amazing to get out. And I have had the opportunity to go to some like very much some places that feel like a lot like America, but I had a chance to go to Uganda. It's like very not like America. It's like crazy, no. And it was just such a wild experience. I've been to Haiti as well, and it's like, wow. I mean, that is a different planet, and it's just cool, like to experience that and to be very grateful for where I live and for my parents and my family.
Yeah, we were in South Africa, so similar experiences there, probably to Uganda, especially when you got outside of the the major city areas. So, so you have this joy of travel from the age of 16, right? When did you get so passionate about credit card points and perks and rewards? Because that's really the intersection of your business. So, I mean, were you racking up points at the age of 16 or 17, or when that happened?
So basically, like a lot of people, I just wanted to travel and I wanted to spend less money doing it. I was graduated from college. I was in a new job, new baby, newly married, not making very much money, and kind of like, wow, I was doing all these cool things and I was single, and it's gotten a lot harder now that I've got a family, I've got just life, I wonder how I could travel for cheaper, because I knew all about like the cheap flight stuff and staying in hostels, or, I had gone down that road and understood that world. And so I just I'd heard about the credit card points thing, but didn't know much. So I just started looking into it and got into it and got some points and cards and booked some flights. And I was like, whoa, this is legit and this is real. And then I just got kind of obsessed with learning about it. And, I charge money to help people learn about this stuff. I'll say that. But you can certainly learn it all on your own. It just takes a really long time because there's so many resources, YouTube channels, podcasts, all this stuff. But I just kind of dove way into it and got into the weeds and I was fascinated, like some of the stuff you can do.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot, most of the people you're working with in particular, they want to, or willing, I should say, to pay whatever your fee is so they don't have to spend those countless hours of, learning, going down the midnight rabbit hole in terms of what they can do, can't do, what's best. And you basically are like a walking, talking business of a cheat sheet for that, essentially, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's fun. I'll occasionally get comments like, don't pay for this guy. Like people saying to other people, this is all free online. And it's like, well, so is financial advice, but I will certainly hire financial advisors. Like just because it's free online doesn't mean that I'm not going to spend the hours and hours it would take to understand the complicated world of personal finance. There's just so much there. And so it is funny that people, people are willing to outsource because they see it as valuable and they want to save their own time. So those have been my ideal people for sure.
You could get free medical advice from ChatGPT. I don't know that you want to take that or not, but
exactly.
Yeah. So listen, one thing, everybody loves cash, right? We all like money. We all like cash, but why is it that cash back may not be the best path for rewards, for example? Because I think a lot of times many people see these cash back. They're like, oh, I could use cash. Let me just go that route. But I think you've talked a lot about that many times. That may not be the best path for rewards for most people.
Yeah, it's a great question. Like that's kind of the beginning of the conversation about how to win with points and miles is cashback versus points. Um, Points are only good if you like travel. So let's just put that out of the way. If you have no interest in travel, please don't mess around with it. It's just not worth your time. Just do cash back. And even if you do, love travel, cash back still could make more sense. Why? Because cash is simple. You spend $100,000 a year on the card, you get your 2% back, $2,000. You go do whatever you want with that. You can pay the utility bill. You can also book a night at the Ritz-Carlton, whatever. It's very nice, and people like that. The thing about points, though, is while it does require a little bit more deeper understanding, it requires some knowledge, it requires some, a little bit of investing in time, and it can be confusing. There is an arbitrage opportunity that allows you to kind of blow cash back out of the water. So there are ways, and we'll talk about this hopefully in a second, maybe, is just to get much higher returns on your spending. So one you can do that is by transferring points and taking advantage of really well-structured airline hotel programs. But also, too, with these points cards, I do not advocate for credit card churning, which would be the practice of just opening and closing credit cards all the time. People certainly do that. But one of the reasons people do that is because there's incredibly lucrative bonuses, right? There was just one that closed on a card that spend $5,000 in 3 months, which is pretty easy for most families, and you get 100,000 points. I know I can name 4 ways just off the top of my head to get $4,000 of travel from those points. Like that is a lot of money. You know what I mean?
By the way, I don't mean to interject here, but I got that card myself.
Oh, there you go.
Recently, and my 22-year-old son got it as well for a lot of the reasons you're mentioning right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, there you go. So you were sold, but it's real. And that's the thing is with the bonus and with the potential for like that arbitrage opportunity, when you look at your actual return on spending over the course of 12 months, the math is really, really good. So to go back to your question, how could points or travel rewards be better than cash back? Because if you do the game right, you will beat cash back. You can get significantly more a higher return. Which, if you're mathy, if you're financy, that's what you're after. But on the more emotional, psychological side of things, it's really cool that you're almost forced to use this stuff for travel. So take all the math away and just like a lot of people struggle when they got that cash back in their account. And then the utility bill is higher than usual or whatever comes up, there needs to be a roof repair. Like people use it for that, which is great. I'm not saying not to do that per se, but it's easy to just push that trip off. And like part of like the mission of my company, Go Somewhere, is like, go somewhere, like do something. Life is short. I think travel has had a transformative effect on my life. And so I want other people to experience that. And so I think points actually can be kind of a psychological trick almost. Like we trick in ourselves and the banks are trying to get us there a little bit, but if we know what they're doing, we can partner with them maybe. Just like, this is what is going to help me get out the door to finally take that family trip to Italy that we've been talking about for 7 years but haven't done.
Yeah, I mean, as you say that, I think about like, for instance, timeshares, for example, many people, from an investment standpoint, probably not the best quote unquote investment, out there. But a lot of people love them because it forces them to utilize the week that they have or utilize the points and forces them, just like you're talking about the points, to kind of use them for travel rather than getting the cash back and just spending it. That timeshare does the same thing, kind of forces them out of their comfort zone. So they book that trip and experience those things. So I see a lot of correlation there.
For sure.
There's definitely no shortage of people out there sharing credit card hacks and point strategies. But one of the things that you've done, as we've talked about earlier, to kind of separate yourself is, having that focus or the laser focus on LinkedIn. What initially made you choose that approach? And how has it shaped the way that you connect with your audience, using that medium?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is really amazing. And I think we're still, maybe they're just LinkedIn gurus saying this, but on kind of the earlier side of LinkedIn. In contrast, maybe to Instagram, which feels pretty saturated. And it's a little overwhelming to think in 2025 jumping in brand new to Instagram. I deleted all other social media for kind of personal reasons. And so I didn't have any social media. And then I decided I just kind of got LinkedIn because my college professor told me to. And I was like, oh, there's actually some really interesting stuff on here. And I found people like Justin Welsh. A lot of people know him. He's almost become a cliche name in LinkedIn circles, but I think his stuff is really amazing. I bought his course and it was so good. And I still tell people, if you're brand new, I still think he's the guy to talk to, actually. You can't talk to him, but buy his stuff. So anyway, I just started posting on LinkedIn as the only social media I had, and it's been an amazing platform. Especially in my niche, there's almost no one who's talking about credit card points. I mean, I'm connecting with people who are of a level of wealth and influence and success that I feel like I have no business talking to. And I just can't even believe that I'm just casually talking to these people who other people probably have to wait months to even get a meeting with them. And here I am, that they're like pestering me for a time to chat. And it's just amazing like what LinkedIn has done. So I could probably talk for hours just about LinkedIn, but I think it's an amazing platform for anyone with a product, with a service, with any kind of business. And there's still so few people creating versus people consuming. Instagram's got a lot of creators. I think LinkedIn, the ratio is still very, very good. So if you're a new business, like it's the place to create, in my opinion.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been a huge success for you, which is great. And it sounds like, that's really a good place for where the people you're trying to talk to who are utilizing credit cards, using them heavily, or probably, on there and active. So it sounds like a great playground to be on. Imagine a relationship where financial conversations don't feel stressful, but actually bring you joy. We've designed a guide to help you have positive, meaningful money conversations with your partner. This isn't just another budgeting tool, it's a roadmap for building trust and connection. So if you're ready to start a joyful money journey with your partner, go to Mytland.us/couplesjoy and download your free guide. Transform your financial future together starting today. We talk about very often how personal finance is just that, personal. And, a lot of times choosing the right credit card is really no different. I mean, there are a lot of options out there. And I know that you've really developed a framework to help people find the best card for their unique spending habits. Could you walk us through and explain your, framework and why it's so effective just at a high level?
I appreciate the question. I've actually got for anyone interested, we could probably put this in the notes, a free guide that I send out because I get this question every day. What credit card should I have? And so it's a guide. It's kind of the 7 questions you need to ask yourself before getting a travel credit card. So I won't necessarily go through the entire maybe presentation there, but I think really what you're after is you're trying to find a product, so a credit card that aligns a couple different things. That aligns your spending habits, so what you spend on, right? Do you have 9 kids and you spend $1 million on groceries? Or are you single and you travel all the time by yourself? You know what I mean? It's just so different. Those 2 different examples need different cards. So you want to align your spending habits with your travel preferences with the right cards. So when those 3 things come together, so a family of 5 who spends a lot on groceries can maybe use an American Express Gold card. That's the only card out there that earns 4x points per dollar on groceries. Those points transfer right to Delta. Maybe they happen to live in Detroit, a big Delta hub. So you see how we did there in that example, their family, they spend a lot of money. Let's get them the best card for groceries, which is their highest expense other than rent or mortgage or whatever. And they need access to Delta Sky Miles because they live in a big Delta hub. So when you just run all the numbers, and let's say they like to fly to California twice a year, whatever. That's the program that makes the most sense. And so that's just one example. There's obviously a million iterations of that, but it's not that hard when I have a knowledge of the products, of the cards that are out there. And so it can pretty quickly align spending habits, travel preferences. I will say it's not perfect, of course, and maybe you're tired of hearing it. But people pay me to help them come up with a credit card strategy. But ChatGPT has been continually getting better and better at that. Again, it's always about the prompt, but if you can give very specific stuff, I'm a family of 4, I live here, these are my home airports, these are my travel preferences, these are what do we like to do, this is how much money we spend, and say, give me a credit card strategy or the best 1 to 2 credit cards for me to consider that are on the market right now. It can be a really good tool because people feel very overwhelmed by that question of like, of what card should I get? And ultimately it ends up being very personal. I will say though, if you just look across all these different websites, NerdWallet, Points Guy, there's so many out there, you will start to see there's a few, maybe 2 to 4 cards that are always at the top. And there's a reason for that because they are just better. So you don't. It's not like you have to compare 100 products, right? There's a few cards that do rise up to the top, and it's with a little bit of research you can easily find those.
Let's talk about that for a second, right? So, for somebody like me, that says, hey, this sounds great, but where do I start, right? This sounds great. I'm already I got a handful of credit cards, really haven't put as much thought into it as you and I have just discussed. I'm racking up points. I'm using them regularly. What are your top resources for those who want to leverage, their points? Where do you go from there?
Yeah, there's so many places to go. You don't want to get overwhelmed, and you want to keep things simple. So I'll say this, like maybe first step would be to decide, am I going to go down the world of cashback or the world of points? I find a lot of people do a little mix of the two, and that certainly works. I just I don't know. For me, I'd say just choose one, and I'm all about keeping your life simple. So choose one of them. Don't try and hyper optimize every purchase. You can do that, but I don't know. I think it has diminishing returns unless you're spending an enormous amount of money. So some resources that I love, and we could link these. I don't make any money or really have much connection with them, but the Daily Drop is an amazing points and miles media company. A lot of people are familiar with the Points Guy, so similar to them, though I think the Daily Drop stuff is better. They've got a email newsletter that I recommend everyone go. It's my favorite Points and Miles media product. It comes out every single morning, takes me 4 minutes to read. I learned so much. They have a free course. It's on a video course too. People don't like video courses, I feel like. So it's something you can read through, you can skim through. It's really, really, really good. So those are 2 products. I send almost everyone to go there. But you can also just start Googling stuff. If you have a bunch of Chase points, you can Google best uses of Chase points. And I guarantee you the articles that come up, if you start reading those, 99% of listeners here will be like, what? I can do that and this and that. That's really possible. And it's really cool to see what's out there. I've got some other free resources as well. One of my guides, the other free guide is called How to 2 to 10x the Value of Your Points. And what that is teaching you is how to transfer points and kind of get that arbitrage opportunity. So there's really 2 places people need to be educated. On the credit card strategy side, what cards are good? Why are they good? What are the best cards to have? Like how do these cards work? That's one side, is the credit card strategy side. The other side is the points and miles redemption side. How do I find good deals? What is a good deal? Like what are the softwares that help me find these? There's so many different things. So those are the 2 places you need to educate yourself.
So, I mean, if this sounds great to our listeners, but they don't want to take the time or desire to jump into this matrix of rewards and how to get but they want to get the most out of their points, right? Let's say they're not willing to roll up their sleeves and do the work like we've discussed. What is an engagement with you? What does that look like? How are you walking them through this entire process from beginning to end?
So there's a couple of things. So the people I would be helpful to are, one, people who, like you said, have no interest in doing stuff themselves. So if you're a big DIY person, I'm probably not the right person to talk to. And then 2, someone who is sitting on a large amount of points. You would be shocked. I'm continually shocked every day by how many normal people, are just sitting on mountains of points. How they got them, there's always a different story, but they're just sitting on them. They're afraid to use them or they don't know how to use them. And then the last category of people I can really help would be if you spend a lot of money. What a lot of money is, people ask me that. What does that mean? I still haven't quite decided what I think a lot of money is, but I would say about $10,000 a month or more. If you got a business spending that, which is very common, or personal expenses if you are a higher earner, higher spender, it's really worth your time to sit down with someone like me. I really offer two simple things. First thing is a one-on-one consultation. You fill out a form, I get all your information, we sit down, we answer all your questions. We go through those two categories I mentioned. One, credit card strategy. What is the strategy for you? What cards should you have? What cards should you drop? What cards should you get in the future if you're open to new cards? Number two, how do we use these? How do we use these points? And so let's talk about your destinations. You guys want to go to California and to Cabo and to Hawaii. That's where you like to travel. Okay, let's optimize everything for that. Let me teach you how to find deals there. Let me teach you how to find flight deals, hotel deals. What are the best hotels for points in Hawaii? We can talk through all that stuff. And we can talk about a lot of other stuff too. Sometimes I've had conversations the entire time. It's just about earning status with airlines. That's all the person wanted to talk to about. We could talk about that. There's less people maybe who want to talk about something as granular as that. So that's what I do in those consultations. And I'm working with, email, text support afterwards to help them. The second thing I do is a trip planning service. And that's for anyone listening who might just be sitting on a large amount of points. I would define large as maybe about 250,000 or more. You're sitting on a depreciating asset that really should be used. And if you feel like you don't understand how to use them, that's what this service is for, is you would fill out my form and you say, I live in Dulles, I live in Washington, D.C. I want to go to the Caribbean, anywhere, and I want a nice all-inclusive hotel. I've got these 300,000 Chase points I've been sitting on. I don't know what to do. And then I would go and I would do the research, and then I would walk you through the booking process to find you flights, find you hotels, find you a great deal. And the goal would be to save you well over $1,000 on that trip. So I just charge a flat fee for that of $350. I do all the research. We get on a call. I walk you through it. I just tell you what to click. You don't have to think too hard. If you want to think, you can. I can explain it. But if you don't want to think, the goal is I'll just tell you what to click. And and a lot of people are actually quite happy with that, because they don't have the time or the energy to think about all this stuff. So that's really the core of my business and what I do. And I'd love to help anyone who is a non-DIYer. But to all the DIYers out there, I say, you're awesome. Go for it. You can certainly do it. There's so many good resources out there. So go for it.
Yeah, I think those are two great services, and let's just talk about for one minute, if we can, about the comment you made about the points being a depreciating asset. Because I think sometimes some people may not understand what that means, but they may be saying, well, why is it a depreciating asset? Because if I have 500,000 points today and I don't spend any, I have 500,000 points tomorrow. It's not really depreciating. Can you explain what you mean by that? Because I think it's really pertinent to the conversation for those people that are sitting on, tens of, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of points.
For sure. Yeah. People like pointflation is the term people use. It's a lot worse than, people complain about inflation with the US dollar or whatever. Points are way worse. So I would say, yes, every day stuff changes. The best way to use your points is to transfer them from a bank to an airline program. But even if you or airline or hotel program, even if you have points sitting in any airline or hotel program, those programs are making changes every day. Why? Because they're trying to make money, right? They make money off these programs, but they have to keep it all in very close balance, right? To make sure they're still profitable from distributing all these points to people. So Hilton just a few days ago made just huge changes, stuff that fancy hotels that were this amount per night are now like 40,000 more points per night. Air France, I released a course a few months ago, and it did really well. And I advertised how you could fly to Paris for 40,000 points round trip. Well, Air France just changed it. Now it's 50,000 points round trip. So my course is no longer accurate. I got to go change that. And that stuff happens all the time. There's all these different programs out there, and you never know. Just boom, like that, it'll just be gone. And I don't mean like 5% increases in price like we see with, bread or something. I don't know. Eggs have been high, right? I mean like 30% increases in price. Yeah. So it can be that dramatic. It's not small. And so for anyone who's sitting on large amount of points, The term people use, I didn't come up with this, is earn them and burn them, Like, it is not impressive that you are sitting on a mountain of points. That's not an accomplishment. It is with money in many ways. So hopefully it's, invested or whatever, but it's not an accomplishment with points. That is a liability. And you should go do fun stuff. That means you have points that you could be taking your family on amazing trips that you're not using for whatever reason. So you want to be really careful. Points are always going down in value, unfortunately. But there are still a lot of ways to get great value from your points. So use them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's an important point to understand. So we got to ask you, what is one of your top, we made that happen travel hack stories that you could share with our listeners? That was like an amazing thing that you were able to pull off for somebody you worked with.
Oh yeah, there's been so many. I got to help a guy who's pretty big following on LinkedIn, Mondo Salavente. He came to me and helped with a honeymoon, and I think he had a certain idea for it. And I was like, "You've got so many points. Have you ever thought about the Maldives?" He's like, "What?" Like, yeah, can we? And then I was like, "Yeah, well, you could do this, this, and this." And anyway, and very soon, I believe they're leaving on a honeymoon to they're going to stay like an overwater bungalow, and it's like and they're flying in Emirates business class, and it's just next level luxury. So it was so fun to see someone like him who's very smart, very knows his stuff, very successful. Like, I got to bring him to a whole nother level of luxury for his honeymoon, which is obviously really important. I had another family who had a bunch of points and was looking to go somewhere for Christmas, that week after Christmas, where everyone wants to travel. And, the prices get crazy there. And they ended up, he's got teenage children that wanted to bring some friends. And I was like, wow, that's going to make it a lot harder. But anyway, ended up getting like 3 rooms for them using points at the Park Hyatt in St. Kitts. And the numbers were crazy. So it was about 30,000 points per night per room. But the cash rate of those rooms, because the dates were, peak dates, ended up being around like $2,200 per night. Wow. So the math ended up being for his family trip that it was like over $30,000 worth of hotel rooms, which is like it hurts my brain to even think about that. And again, he wouldn't have paid that out of pocket, but he was sitting on about 400,000 points. I was able to find that deal for him. And so I can technically say I helped someone get a $30,000 hotel stay. I think those prices are absolutely ridiculous, and they're not actually fair, but they are real. That's what was published on the website. I've got the screenshots. So there's a million other things like that, but I think it's helping people who are, high earners. Maybe they're not poor, but people experience, a level of luxury that they didn't think was possible. That's what gets me excited. And that could just be a newly married couple who can't even afford to go anywhere, and I help them go somewhere. It's just so fun and so wild that like I could help people have these core memories, these like amazing moments with their families, their spouses, their kids, whatever, because of this kind of niche, weird knowledge I have accumulated. It feels really good.
I feel like those trips always feel a little bit better, even though, you spent the money for the points, right? So it did cost you, I guess, something technically, but
sure.
There's somewhat a level of pride when you go away and you say, oh, I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. I just used points. It's like a badge of honor. So thank you for sharing that. So listen, it's been a pleasure having you on, Colin, and we end each of our shows by asking each of our guests the same questions. Our listeners are waiting for this because we're all about joy on the show. And that is, what did you do today that brought you joy and put you in the right mindset for success?
Yeah, I love that you asked everyone that. That's an awesome question. I think for me today, it's maybe a little bit of resisting workaholicness, resisting the entrepreneurial, just do stuff and take some time. So I was too busy this morning, too many things, and chose to do a 30-minute run outside in nature. And it was just like wonderful, and it brought me so much joy. And I'm going to be more productive today because of it, even though every part of me said, don't do it, just go start working. So I feel like that, like exercise has been a huge priority for me. Even when I fail, I've got a 5-month-old and still figuring out how to do all of that with 2 little kids and all of that. But that brought me a lot of joy today for sure.
I think we were able to hear one of them in the background just
Oh, you
just
can't. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah,
no, it's all good. Listen, it makes it real, so it is what it is. And listen, enjoy every minute of it with these kids because I tell people all the time, mine are 19 and soon to be 22, and the time goes fast. You want to talk about pointflation? I could share with you that things and time seems to get exponentially faster as they get older. So enjoy every minute of it while you can, for sure. So listen, thank you for sharing that. And we're going to have all your information in the show notes. We'll also get that information from you that you talked about so we can link out to that as well. But if people want to learn more about you, learn more about Go Somewhere, about what you're doing, what's the easiest and the best place for them to do that?
Sure. Yeah. The best place for that would probably be my LinkedIn. Honestly, you can just search me, Colin Stroud, on LinkedIn. And also that links then to my website, which is gosomewhere.world. .com wasn't available, and I thought .world was pretty cool. So WORLD.
Perfect,
world.
Right?
And yeah, exactly right. So those are the two places you can find me. I'm not really on other platforms right now, maybe soon. And please find me there. Please follow along on LinkedIn. I've got a newsletter as well that comes out every Friday to keep you updated on what's going on in the travel world. Lots.
Awesome.
I'm very out in public, and I'd love to help.
Thanks, Colin. I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing. Love what you're doing. Keep it up. And, travel is so important. It's one of the things that costs money or costs points, but it pays each of us back in so many ways. So enjoy the rest of your day. And I appreciate the time.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
What an absolutely inspiring conversation with Colin Stroud. Colin, thank you for sharing your journey from budget traveler to points and miles expert, helping families and business owners unlock the freedom of travel without the financial stress. Your passion, creativity, and dedication to making dream trips a reality are truly inspiring. To our listeners, if today's episode lit a spark in you to travel more, stress less, and create lasting memories, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Stay inspired, stay adventurous, and most importantly, keep your mindset for success. Colin Stroud and Go Somewhere can be found across most social media platforms. All the contact information needed to find them can be found in the show notes.
The opinions voiced in the Midland Money Mindset Show with Lawrence Sprung are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. No strategy ensures success or protects against loss. To determine what may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Guests on the Midland Money Mindset Show are not affiliated with CWM LLC.